Chapter 25, The Invitation by Justin Rosales. Wim and I sent a lot of emails to each other over the course of winter break. We would speak to each other 2 to 3 times a day. Despite the frequent communications that Wim and I had, I was unable to push myself to develop the technique further. I felt like I had encountered an obstacle that was too hard for me to climb over by myself. For the longer part of the winter months, my days were dedicated to working in the day and hanging out with my friends in the night. Of course, there were a few times where I would feel inspired and do a few Iceman exercises with my friends, but to them, it just seemed like a cool party trick. I bet you can't stand in the snow for blank minutes, they would say. I wanted to push myself, but I lacked the motivation. My job consumed my days, and by the time I got home from work, I was just too exhausted to do anything. I would take a nap only to be woken up by my friends' calls asking me to come hang out with them. Since most college students were home from break, my coworkers were my only friends in town. I remember feeling extremely guilty every time I walked home from their houses. The air was always cold, and it reminded me of my desire to train. Even though I had an incredible connection to one of the greatest cold experts in the world, I was squandering my opportunity to learn. The constant guilt was draining me. That's when I received this email. Date, January 16th, 2009. Hi, Justin. This year in spring, I will give a workshop in Poland on our farm in nature. You should attend. Keep on, Wim. I was ecstatic. It was the opportunity that I had been waiting for all along. I immediately called Jarrett and read the emails to him. He was just as excited as I was. It was that next step in taking the cold training more seriously. However, there was one small problem. Jarrett and I were both currently scheduled to take classes during the spring, and if we were going to attend the workshop, then we would need to make sure that we were both available. So I sent Wim the following. I'm wondering if you happen to know when your workshops will be in the spring. Jarrett and I are wondering because we'd have to make arrangements. Any information would be very much appreciated. Thanks, Justin. And he quickly replied with, Hi, Justin. It's going to happen in the very beginning of May 1st through May 7th. I hope to see you, and you have to consider the price. What is your financial position? Many greetings, Wim. I texted Jarrett the date, and we both checked our schedules. We soon realized that we had a major conflict. May 1st through the 7th was the week of our final exams. It also happened to be Jarrett's last semester of college, and it was essential for him to be there during the last week, so he wouldn't be able to attend the workshop. I could sense his disappointment. If I went, I could still share the technique with him upon my return. Therefore, I vowed to myself that I would attend the workshop at all costs. During the next several exchanges of emails with Wim, I found out that the total price of the workshop would be 500 euros, which was about $720 at the time. That's a lot of money for a college student to fork over on a whim. Aside from the cost of a workshop, I would still need to pay for a round-trip plane ticket and get myself a passport. Not more than a few hours after hearing of the workshop in Poland, I devised a plan to make the trip possible. When I called my parents to tell them about my trip to Poland, they were not happy. The conversation went something like this. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetie. So, remember when I told you I was talking to the one guy I saw on TV, the Iceman? Yeah, why? Well, he's been training me for the past few months to become like him. Actually, I just received an email from him inviting me to come participate in his workshop during the first week of May. Where? Poland. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. You've never met this person in real life. How do you even know if you're talking to the guy that you think you are? I said, I don't know. He told me things that lead me to believe it's him, like things he's going to do before it's even released in the media. He's also given me a lot of information about the cold that few people would know anything about. Honestly, I believe it's him. And so she said, well, your dad probably won't be happy about you going to Poland, especially because we wanted to take you on vacation. What are you going to do about your job? I guess I'll put in my 2 weeks notice before I leave. To me, it was a means to an end anyway. Now I have a reason to leave, although I still need to put in a lot of hours before I go just so I can afford it. In total, it looks like the trip is going to cost me about $1,700. She said, yeah, as much as your father and I would love to give you the money, we really don't have it. Don't be using your loans for this either. That money's for school. Don't worry, Mom. I understand that if I want to do this, I'll have to raise the money on my own. I also need to get a passport. I have a really bad feeling about this. I don't feel comfortable with you going. It's not that I don't trust you. I just don't trust the people you're talking to. I don't know them. I know, Mom, but I'm also confident that I'll make it there and back just fine. My biggest challenge will be raising the money, but I think it'll be worth it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I don't know if I'll ever get the offer again. I have to try. Okay. Just make sure your grades don't suffer and that you're able to pay for food and rent this semester. All right, I'll do what I can. Thanks. Love you. Love you too. Bye. After I got off the phone with my mom, I started thinking of ways to make more money. I remembered that there was this place downtown where I could give plasma twice a week, averaging a total of $50 extra a week. I called in and scheduled an appointment to begin donating. It seemed like everything would be okay, but I also knew that my schedule was about to get a lot more hectic. Not only would I be working part-time at the deli, but also my classes would be starting up the following week, and they'd require a lot more of my time and focus. I also had responsibilities in my research lab. My time was going to be cut short, and I quickly realized that I would need to make sacrifices. No longer would I be able to spend late nights hanging out with friends, but I would need to remain focused. Otherwise, I could kiss the workshop in Poland goodbye. In an attempt to keep things organized, I devised a list of things to do to make the trip possible. 1. Get a passport. 2. Raise $1,700 to cover the total and unexpected expenses. 3. Make enough money so that I can also cover the cost of food and my rent, which is $475 a month. 4. Rearrange my schedule and talk to my professors to take my finals early. 5. Maintain good grades so my mother doesn't have a reason to keep me from going to Poland. Normally, if I were told that I would have to raise $1,700 at a part-time job while enrolled as a full-time student, I would freak. Actually, I came pretty close to freaking out numerous times, but the idea of doing something meaningful with my life outweighed all of the other sacrifices and possible consequences. I was ready to accept everything I had to do to make this trip happen. Instead of my goals being go to college and work to pay it off, it became go to college, work, and make enough money to do something that could actually improve my life. To me, Poland wasn't an option, it was an obligation. It was what I needed to do to live. I accepted the steps necessary and made sure that it was a lifestyle I could accept. And beyond that, nothing else mattered. This shift in my perspective totally changed the way that I lived my life. Over the next several days, my classes began. Already, I felt different. Normally, I'd go to class, sit there, and stare off into the distance until it was time to leave. But now, I listened attentively. Why? Because I had a purpose. I needed to learn the information so that I could make time for myself to learn what was actually important to me. My psychology classes were too slow and were layered with information. As informative as they were, they didn't grab my attention, but life experience did. I wanted to see what was possible in the world, and I had finally found a way to pursue it. At work, I became extremely efficient and motivated. I did the best job I could because I wanted to feel like I deserved that money. With each paycheck, I felt like the value of my life was increasing. I always knew that something could possibly go wrong and that the Poland opportunity may disappear, but I made sure that I did everything in my power to ensure that I could afford the trip when the time came. Everything I did for Poland. I wanted to know if Wim could actually control his body temperature and withstand extreme colds. Seeing something on the internet doesn't mean it's true. I needed to find out for myself. And if it was real, I wanted to see if it could be a skill that could be developed in everyone. I felt like my hopes of understanding would be lost if I did not train with Wim in person. I didn't care about the information that college had to offer. I cared about the human potential. I saw more potential in Wim's ability than I ever had in a college degree. And when I came to that realization, my original path of getting a job and settling down vanished. A new road was being paved for the direction of my life, and I was in control.